Morning, everyone, or afternoon. So today I'm very lucky to be joined by someone that has been recommended highly and from Bernie Finn. So I I'm honoured that she's decided to come on to me. I'm sure her journey is going to inspire loads of us. And yeah, so I'd like to introduce Darina Johnston from Waistwatchers. Darina,
how are you? Niall, thanks so much for having me.
No, don't be silly. We'll just stop. So we're in the beautiful Ballyfad woods, different woods. I'm attracted to woods for some strange reason, but this was Darina's choice, so I'll let you first. Darina, so I just like we were talking there a second ago. I briefly know from what Bernie had said to me, you're an inspirational woman, and what you've done for her and for loads of other people has been phenomenal. So to get to that point, you've obviously had your journey.
I surely have.
But before we get to that, I think it's probably best for so I don't know you well, and I know your husband. I didn't realise who your husband was, but would you like to introduce yourself a little bit and let us know a little bit more about you, and then
Absolutely. Okay, so my name, as Basil said, is her. Niall said is what will I call you?
I'll be called worse today. So Basil or Niall, whichever you want.
Okay, we'll go with Niall. I suppose, I was born a big child. I was 11 pound 10 born.
Right.
So I wasn't a baby. I was kind of a turkey, and I was always a big child. And I was tall, I was broad, and I suppose I acted kind of big, and there was a bit of bullying in school over my size. So I think as the years went on, I just kind of ate my way around that.
Right.
Okay, a lot of secret eating, which I later found out was called binging.
Right.
And I think that kind of set the tone for really the next 30 years of my life, maybe next 35 years of my life, where I ate to comfort myself. I ate if something good happened. I ate if something bad happened. And I sought comfort in food, not realising that what I was actually doing was making things worse.
Right.
Because kind of each year I was getting heavier.
Right.
And I'd go on these mad fad diets, and, anything that promised me a quick fix, I'd go on them. I'd lose weight coming up to my debs. I lost weight coming up to college, lost weight when I got engaged, lost weight when I got married, put on weight when I had the kids, lost some of it, had more kids, I only have a few now, don't get me wrong. But bit by bit, I was getting heavier and heavier.
Right.
And any quick fix that came along, I'd try it. But after years of failed yo-yo diets, after years of things not working, you'd be promised a quick fix and you'd go after it, but I wasn't getting to the real problem. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does massive sense.
I was basically putting a plaster on a broken leg.
Yeah. Trying to put a plaster on a cut that's already happened.
Absolutely, absolutely. So after all these failed memberships to different clubs, different things, where you're given a list of food you can have and food you can't have.
Yeah.
It made the foods you can't have more attractive.
Yeah.
So if I had a bad day, of course I went after the stuff that was on the you can't have this list.
Yeah.
So I eventually decided that the only way to actually get the weight off for good was to kind of look at the third leg of the stool and go to the why. Why was I doing this? And at the time we had 4 kids. I was working full time. Mark was working full time. Life was incredibly busy.
Yeah.
So kids were involved in absolutely everything. So you're coming home from work, you're tired, you're stressed. There's dinners to be made. There's washings to be done. He's coming in late from work. You're a little bit resentful.
Yeah.
Truth be told, couldn't be married to a nicer man, but you do the lion's share.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that going on, a little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety, all coupled together, which I self-diagnosed and self-medicated with the worst possible foods that only made things worse.
Yeah.
Didn't exercise. I wouldn't walk to get out of my own way. Hated exercise, but really what I hated was me, if that makes sense. So I took it back to basics and looked at the foods our grandparents would have eaten.
Yeah.
Without all these processed foods, takeaways, fizzy drinks, chocolates, everything else. And I just started to do it the sensible way and not expect to see a 7 pound loss 1 week.
Yeah.
If I got a pound a week, that was 4 stone in a year. So I started doing it that way. I started going out walking in the morning. Now, when I tell you, I couldn't walk the length of myself without shin splints, without everything else. Now I walk kind of 8 to 10k a day.
Right.
But back then I couldn't. So I said to myself, right, we'll do 5 minutes for 5 days. We'll up it to 10 minutes for 10 days, and we'll so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Bit by bit, the weight started to come off, and then life threw a massive curveball. I was diagnosed with throat cancer.
Oh, Jesus,
Now,
I didn't know.
it was, why me, but why not me?
Mm.
And I kind of looked at it like, well, wasn't it better it happened to me than my daughter?
Yeah.
So, look, I'm no different than anyone else. We fought it, and we fought it hard, and we got through it, thank God, as a family. And it really made me realise that I needed to be more grateful
Yeah.
for what I had in my life. And now
It's sad though it's a normal thing, but it's sad that it takes something so drastic for us to realise that, like, that
100%.
that I say to MJ every day when I'm dropping school, or he gets up and he's whinging, I say, MJ, we have to have an attitude of gratitude, because
Absolutely.
not
And it is an
everyone
attitude, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's something that you have to realise yourselves. And
Well,
but
every morning now.
in your situation there, and I'm sorry to interrupt you again,
No.
Jesus, that's a massive, massive thing to take
It was,
on.
but
Emotionally, mentally, everywhere. Like,
yeah, it was tough. It was very invasive. It was tough going. But we dealt with it as a family. We had great support from, my own family. We had great friends.
Yeah.
And we got through it. And I'm 6 years post-cancer.
Well done.
And it is fantastic. And, I can now look back, and if you'd said this to me 6 years ago, I'd probably hit you a slap. I can now look back and say, I'm kind of grateful for it. I'm grateful for the experience to go back and to look at life and see it is a gift.
Massive,
And that sounds terribly dwee, and I don't mean to sound dwee at all, but it actually is a gift. And until somebody tries to take it from you, you don't realise what you have. And now I wake up every morning. Now, I don't always feel like saying it, but I wake up every morning, and when I'm opening the curtains, I actually say, I choose to be happy.
Yeah.
And it kind of doesn't always work out now, let me tell you.
No.
And if someone cuts in front of me in traffic, it doesn't always work out. But I think if you start
don't park in Dunn stores.
I won't park in Dunn. I've heard your reputation. But if you choose to be happy, and, instead of getting up in the morning and thinking, my life is just a circus, it's an awful, can I say shit show?
Oh, yes.
Right.
No.
My life's a shit show.
Yeah.
Instead of saying that and saying, look at what I have, look at what I actually have around me. And I think that sets the tone for me. So rather than spending the day on the couch watching Jeremy Kyle eating a bag of Doritos, I put on the runners and I get out for a walk.
Or there's another really nice way of changing that at the start. Now, come here. I sound like I have my shit together. I haven't a bull's notion, right? And I do. I give out these lovely nuggets of wisdom, and I nearly won't need to beat myself in the head with them. But
I get you.
I have to do, instead of saying I have to go to work, I have to go to school, I get to go to work. I get to go to school. It's such a simple change, and it changes your mindset.
If you literally, and I know the old cliche, my kids always laugh at me with, turn that frown upside down. But if you actually look, and there's times I laugh at how bad things could be.
Yeah.
And think, well, I've got a roof over my head. The right side of the house is facing outwards. My husband's a good job. I've a good job. My kids are healthy. They're doing well. Life is good. I have a lovely little dog. I get to go out. Life is good. Life is good.
Yeah, and it does, but you could have went into the poor me syndrome, which is a massive thing. And
there were moments, as I call it in my class, and if any members are watching this, they'll know, I call it plum syndrome, like poor little old me.
Right.
Where you feel like, poor me. And I did have moments like that.
And well, that's only natural, is it?
But then I thought, well, you can actually heal yourself, or you can make yourself worse. And, I can't say, like, people talk about battling cancer. I can't say I battled it, because that would give the implication we were on an even ground.
Right.
We weren't. This thing was far bigger than I was ever going to be.
Yeah.
And, I had a great team of the best doctors in the world around me. And I didn't have any mega private insurance. It was just our own health system, here in the country. And people give out about it. But when you're in it and you need it, it is there for you.
Yeah.
And I had great people around me. And I think too, to be very honest with you, if I hadn't lost the weight I'd lost, and I'd lost a total of 6.5 stone at that stage. If I hadn't lost that weight, I wouldn't have found the lump in my neck.
All right.
So in a way, the weight saved my life.
Right.
You know, because I just wouldn't have found it. My neck would have been too
big to
too
notice
big.
it.
To notice it.
Right.
And you know, it was because of the fact I found it quickly and my own GP got on it quickly that kind of stood to me.
Gave you a chance then. Gave you a stronger chance.
Absolutely, 100%, yeah. And
to back up a bit though, right? So where are you from originally?
Okay, so I'm from Lucan originally.
Right.
But I have spent several years down here. So I think another 2 decades I might be considered a local.
Right.
I'm working.
I don't know.
I'm working hard on it. I'm working hard. But we're down here. We moved to Arklow 25 years ago. And we're in Coolgraney now 21 years ago.
Another 10 years to go on Coolgraney.
About 10, is it? Is that all?
I'm
doing good. Yeah, we moved here when my youngest daughter was just a couple of months old and she's 22 now.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, so absolutely love it. And we are blessed. This is my saviour, this woods. And in COVID, it was just a lifeline.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what we'd have done without it. And as well as that, we're so near the beach.
Yeah.
You know, almost 10, 15 minutes to Kilpatrick.
I'd have spent a lot of my teenage years. My best friend Darina Johnston is from Coolgraney.
I know Darren, yeah.
So we boxed all the way up along together. So I spent a lot of my teenage years out here. It's brilliant though. I love it out here. So.
And you know, if people, when I get new members in, I would always say to them, if you're not walking now, I'd never, you know, we get this thing when we start trying to lose weight. I have to walk for an hour a day. And you walk 2 days and then you're wrecked. You've shin splints, you can't move, you're totally demotivated. If you get out and walk to 5 minutes for 5 days, 10 minutes for 10 days and build the habit.
Build it up, yeah.
And that's all it is.
That's an amazing thing, right? So it takes 21 days to build a habit and it takes 2 to break it.
Absolutely,
so
absolutely.
My biggest, I was saying to you before we started recording as well, that my biggest issue would have been drinking. And I remember when I was with the Irish High Performance Unit, they would say that a day's drinking would destroy a week's worth of training.
100%, yeah.
My problem was I couldn't stop at a day. I would be looking at 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So silly behaviour, but
look,
it's habit. But down to that amazing thing that you said about going for a walk, like just building up that 5 minutes to 10 minutes, that 10 minutes to 15 minutes, like they're small little changes.
100%. And then it becomes, you know, as habitual as brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
You know, and I always say to my members, the hardest part of going for a walk is opening the front door.
Yeah.
And if you get the feet into the runners before, I can imagine my members are listening to this, if you get the feet into the runners before the excuses.
Yeah.
And try and get out as early in the morning. Because, I mean, I know myself, I'll be there and I go, I'll go in 10 minutes now. I'll just hang a washing out.
Oh, no, you'll always find stuff to stop you going. Yeah.
But then it starts to rain and that's your excuse for the day. But get up, have the runners by the bed, get up, don't bother showering, get out, shower when you get back. And get out and then it's done. And then you do it the next day. And if you form the habit, as I always say to them, first you form the habit, then the habit forms you.
Yeah.
You know, and it is so, so true. And it's the cheapest, most available antidepressant out there. You know, it really is.
I have to agree with you 1,000,000% because obviously the climate in this country is not wonderful and we have up and down weather. But there's I've never heard of anyone melting from the rain, you know, so we're lucky in that sense. And absolutely. Then I always find, I know the hardest part to get out running or walking in the rain is getting out. But once you're out, it's actually the most peaceful part of it. I love it.
And you know, I have pushed the world to rights on my walks. You know, when I got sick first, I used to go over to Kilpatrick Beach when I dropped the kids to school.
Place,
And I sat there, and when you're sitting on those rocks with a woolly hat and a pair of sunglasses, you can cry as loud as you want. Yeah. And it is the most therapeutic. Like the woods on the sea for me are just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, I find great release in it as well.
Yeah.
I like that. You can pick, like I always say, imagine you have a rock in your hand. It's really important for us to name what's bothering us, like, you know, if there's something to identify it, to know what it is, and to just imagine yourself writing that on the rock and fucking it out into the middle of the ocean. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Because we're all in control of how we react to things.
Yeah.
And I'm brutal at reacting. But that is a fact of it, I think.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, I spoke a couple of weeks ago there to my class about, we had been away during the summer. We'd gone interrailing. It was something we'd planned to do about 25 years ago.
yeah.
But I kept going and get myself pregnant. So we couldn't do it.
Mark, I just wanted to say, knowing you had a part to play in that.
Just a teeny small part. But now that the kids are older, we finally got to do what we were doing.
For this point now, we have to take this off YouTube Kids now for that reason, right?
Well, we got to do it there last summer. And one day I became fixated with rucksacks when we were hopping from train to train and watching different people, you know, these seasoned interrailers.
Yeah.
And I was looking at this woman one day with this rucksack, and she had her whole life in this rucksack. And it made me kind of think, you know, about the weight we carry on our back.
Yeah.
And I spoke to my members about it there a couple of weeks ago, and I said, just imagine you were able to go home and take that rucksack off your back. I said, what would you take out of it? You know, all the stuff we carry with us that we don't need to be carrying.
Yeah.
You know, absolute crap that we're carrying around for years of he said this and she said that, and well, you didn't send the birthday card, and well, you didn't answer the phone, and absolute crap that we carry.
Yeah.
And I said to them, you know, supposing you fall out with, say, let's say Juanita, for the sake of argument, and you're taking this row for years in your head, you're reliving it, you're doing everything with it. And I guarantee you, Juanita isn't losing 1 ounce of sleep over you.
No.
But you're wasting all this
pent up energy. And I'm bad for it. I know that.
And, you know, if we could just take that rucksack off our back, clear it out, and maintain it then.
Yeah.
Just don't let that crap into your life anymore.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing, and there's a beautiful book. I'm certain you've read it, but The Four Agreements.
I haven't actually.
It's amazing.
Right, I'll put that on the list.
One of the chapters in it is, I should know this off by heart. I recommend this book to everyone, but one of the chapters in it is, don't take things personally, right? That is the easiest thing in the world to imagine, but it's the hardest thing in the world to do. And like, someone's opinion of us is actually none of our business. Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? But that bothers us, because human nature, I suppose, is we're all people pleasers. We all want to be liked. We all want to. But genuinely, like, I'm lucky. I have some amazing friends, and I have a beautiful wife, beautiful son, and my parents are still alive. I'm blessed, right? My brother and sister. But if I could, I wouldn't fill two hands with, do you know what I mean? If you were to ask me my close friends, I wouldn't fill two hands.
Would you be very lucky to fill two hands? If you could fill one.
One, I'd be happy with, do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But my thing is that just because you're not a good friend with someone, or just because, or even not even a friend of somebody, we can all notice changes, especially in colleagues and people we work with. We can all notice changes, and it doesn't take a massive amount of effort to tap that person on the shoulder and say, you all right?
Are you okay?
Yeah. You know, and that's the simple thing.
100%.
And I think kindness, and I think through all of these, actually don't know what these are, walking talks, I don't know what they are. They're not podcasts. I haven't a clue what they are. Great. But through all of these, the one thing that keeps coming back is that we probably all need to start working a little bit more on kindness.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I think we got very confused in years gone by of gifts and the size of gifts. Yeah. And, you know, money became more available and kids got bigger gifts. And, you know, and I will remember times that my granny walked with me to school. I won't remember a present she bought. Yeah. But I'll remember things like that. And that's what I try to say to the members about. A lot of them would have, you know, treat jars for the grandkids. Yeah. And, you know, they say, oh, sure, if the kids don't come, sure, I'll end up eating it. And I say, well, how about you walk to the shop? Because they'll remember the chance.
Walk.
Yeah. And I mean, Bernie Finn that you were talking about, when Bernie was with me and she lost 9 stone, Bernie gave up her car. And that was how it all started. And
Right.
she used to walk everywhere with her kids. And
An amazing woman. I went to
she's
school with Bernie.
she's incredible. And you know, Bernie's going to be opening a Waistwatchers class in Bray next month.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, she's opening in Bray, on a little plug for the class there. She's opening in Bray on the 4th of February. And she is amazing because, do you know, she used to go walking with her daughter. And if something had happened, she'd say to her, now we'll keep it for the walk.
Right.
And when you're out walking with your child, they have to really talk to you.
Yeah.
You know, whereas when you're in the car, you have the radio on, you're beeping at the car in front of you, you're letting traffic out, you're not giving them your full attention.
Yeah.
Whereas out in a walk, you kind of have to talk. And I just thought, like, that was such a real, you know, we talk about influencers and everything else. But I remember saying to her, like, that, you're such a role model for her. To be able to have the walk and say, right, what happened in school today? And other kids were going by in cars with the parents and they had their earphones on. The parents weren't listening.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're not there for the little things, they're not going to come to you with the big things, you know?
No, true. And you're opening a pathway, maybe. And it might get to a point that, God forbid, if they were struggling, they might say to you, is there any chance of us going for a walk? Or,
Absolutely.
you know, that way?
Absolutely. And I know during COVID, like our youngest daughter was here with us, the others were all away. And she used to come to the woods, and God love her, she was only maybe 16 at the time, but she used to chat away to us.
Yeah.
And it does, you do build that relationship. And it's because kids, I think today, I'd hate to be a teenager nowadays.
Yeah, so would I think that.
They've so much going on.
There's so much to battle with. Like social media. I suppose I done my leaving cert in 2002, so it was coming about then. You know, it was starting to, like, I remember when 9/11 happened. I had 3 jobs from 12 years of age, so I had a phone, and I remember getting text alerts was sort of the first bit of internet that came around.
Right.
So I got text alerts about a plane crashing into a building in New York, and so it was crazy. But that was the start of it, and then, but I'm lucky, like, down to what we're doing now, right? So we're trying to do something positive.
Yeah.
But young people are growing up with a phone in their face full time.
Constantly.
Do you know what I mean? So,
like social media, it's like, what's this they used to say about electricity? It's a fantastic servant, but a very cruel master.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
And, you know, I often talk to members about it, like years ago, if you wanted to book a holiday, like the whole family went to the travel agents. It was a big day out, you know, and there was the excitement and everything else. Now, if you want to book a holiday, you go down, you get out the laptop, click, holiday booked.
Bang, gone,
And this instant gratification too, I think, comes with, that's why so many people and weight loss, they want it now.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody promises them a quick fix, they take it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it's hard.
I'd say even going back to your journey, I'd say the most rewarding part of it is the actual journey, because I've only found since I had to retire, I was a professional boxer for 7 years, and the things I thought I hated, the structure of having to get up doing that's the stuff I miss and I crave so much now. So it's learning to enjoy the journey. And
absolutely.
I wish I had have relaxed and enjoyed the journey more. Do you know what I mean? So one thing I think everyone should do is, I've talked about kindness, but be kinder to themselves, down to, especially with weight loss. I'm lucky my weight yo-yos go. I'm a heavyweight boxer, so I'm used to going yo-yo, and down to what it is, it'd be comfort eating or comfort drinking or sitting at home and doing silly things. But I think I always say to people when they're starting out their fitness journey, or when they're starting out to get themselves back on track, it's really important to be kind to yourself and 100%. Not to panic about a number.
Absolutely.
I always say to anyone that starts, and I know it's very different for everybody, and everyone has different reasons for doing what they're doing. But I always say chase a feeling as opposed to a number. Once you start feeling better,
you know, and the amount of people, I was only talking about it in my morning class this morning. I had a lot of new members, obviously, being January. And I said to them, you know, the scales is important to a degree. What's more important is your ability to be able to get up your own steps.
Yeah.
And, you know, I said, start now taking photographs, and each month take a photograph and keep them in a folder for yourself. And in 6 months' time, look back at the difference. And the number on the scales might have only moved X amount.
Yeah.
But your whole body structure has changed.
1,000,000%. Yeah.
When we were away just over Christmas, I was actually able to, you know, when you're in Spain, the big things of water,
Yeah.
you know, and there was always nearly a row over, you know, Mark, go get the water. I'm not getting the water. And the only reason I wasn't getting the water was I wasn't able to carry it up the steps.
Yeah.
And I was able to carry 2 of them up the steps to the apartment. And that for me, you know, because if I'm able to do that now, it means that I'm going to be able to do it in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be at as high a risk of falling, and because I'll have better upper body strength,
Yeah.
and that's going to keep me out of a nursing home. And it's all these things that I think about.
No, but it's weird, right? So don't think you're the only one thinking about it. So our algorithms on social media must be very similar, right? But there's a video on Instagram, I think, and it's an elderly man. Like, I mean, I'd say he's in his
Is that with the
80s.
split screen?
But he's doing dumbbell press. Or no, sorry, he's doing a kettlebell press.
To lift the grandchild?
Yeah, to lift the grandchild, to put the star on the Christmas tree.
100%, yeah, 100%.
It's powerful. It's a power, yeah.
And I have these arm exercises. My members hate me because Monday, Wednesday and Friday, we do this 5-minute arm video. And it is torture.
Yeah.
It is the devil. But after 5 minutes, it's done.
Yeah. And
the whole idea is that, you know, if you're able to do them now, you're going to be able to kneel down and light your own fire.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to get the stuff down off the shelf. And I'm constantly telling them, because when I look back over why everything didn't work for me, I think the main thing was I didn't self-prioritize.
Right.
Okay. And self-prioritization sounds like one of these new yuppie words, but it's not. It's about looking after yourself. Yeah. And as you said, being kind to yourself.
Yeah.
And being kind to yourself, not with necessarily food, but, you know, just taking care of yourself. And if you prioritize yourself, like if you say no to a few people, no, I can't actually do that for you this week because I'll miss my exercise class. What you're ultimately doing is you're making sure that in 10 years' time, you're not going to be a burden to them.
Yeah.
Because if you don't exercise and you fall, they're the first people you're going to ring.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have a lot of people who will come in and say, I have to rush to pick up the grandkids, or I have to do this for my daughter, or I have to go here for my son. And I go, you know, stop now for a minute, because you need to keep you well for them to be able to live their lives. Do you know, that kind of way?
No.
So it is definitely. But have you seen the one where the screen is split?
No, I don't.
And the man starts off in the morning and he's putting on his tie, but the split screen is the nurse fixing the oxygen.
Oh, no, I haven't, no.
And then the other one is that he's putting on his watch, but in the other one, it's a blood pressure monitor. And it's just showing if you exercise, he's getting up on his bike, but the other man's been helped into a wheelchair.
Right.
And it's just, again, what we were talking about earlier, it's choices.
Yeah.
You know?
And this is the thing, and down to that, we are, like, life is frantic. Everything is frantic. Your schedule is mental, my schedule is mental, but...
I mean, how long are we trying to get together to
No,
do this?
I know, but down to that, my timekeeping and time management is poor anyhow, but so I'll take the blame for that.
To tell you.
Well, I'll take the blame, but you decided to feck off the Spain, so I'm going to pass
I had to show him how I could lift the water bottles.
But that every one of us have time in a day. We all have an hour that we could definitely do, and I always say to people that your hour might be running 15k.
Mm-hmm.
My hour might be going for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
My hour might be lifting weights. My hour might be whatever it is. But we all need that hour. And to throw up a set of headphones on and to blank the world out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like what you're saying, the amount of, like, I think the idea for MBK came on a run. And the idea for this walk and talk, or whatever this YouTube thing is, came from purely people resonate with people that are being honest, and everybody thinks everybody else has it sorted, but we're all fucking bags of shit, really and truly, right? We're all like a box of Lego, and we're in pieces, but it's just about putting them back together. And my hope is that your advice to anybody is going to help them. You know, those dark days, because we all have them, and I used to see it with boxing, when you'd be flying some days, and then days you just go up and you're absolutely, it's not there. Like, I'm certain sure you have members that are flying but there's another member in there that's having a lull day, like, you know
Absolutely.
what I mean? And that, but that's normal.
Yeah.
And I think we have to be kind to ourselves in them
Of course you
dips
do, but
as
I
well.
think the key there, and I again ranted this, and they'll all be used to me saying it, don't compare.
Yeah.
Ever, because comparing is despairing.
Yeah.
And you know, I think too with social media, sometimes you look at social media and you end up coming away thinking of all you haven't got.
Yeah.
You know, and you're looking at these houses, and particularly I think for young mothers, they're looking at all these influencers who are, you know, their house is spotless, they're breastfeeding 8 times a day, they're making courgette biscuits, and life is wonderful. And then you have another mother who, I mean, I looked like roadkill for about 6 months after my kids were born. I did well to get up and get a shower, let alone go around, you
Well,
know.
I think I'd rather look at roadkill than courgette biscuits or somehow or another, I don't know.
But like, you see them all, and then you've got these young, very, very vulnerable mothers who just made a person.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're hit with this, maybe they've had no sleep, and they're looking at all this thing that's gone around them. What they don't realise that this person has a team of cleaners who have come in to clean their house for that video shoot.
Yeah.
So don't compare yourself to anyone, because there's
definitely
an
not on
expression.
social media.
No,
Social
because
media
it's
is
fake.
fake. Yeah.
You know, as I say, it's a great business tool.
Did you see the message given? Sorry, I cut across you there. Social media, if used properly, is an amazing way,
Absolutely.
right? But Joe Biden put something out the other day in his last address as president before Trump takes over. And he more or less warned people about how power is taken over and how false news is taken over. And not going into politics because I'm too stupid to do it, but
Resolve.
Like down to Trump's campaign was funded by Zuckerberg and by Elon Musk. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's purely so that they can grow their own business, which is fake news, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, but it's like everything. It's like food. If we strip it back, you know, and I often say to people, what would your granny have cooked you?
Yeah.
What would you have had for your breakfast if you were living in your granny's? And they'd have said, well, you know, porridge or brown bread and an egg. And that's what you eat.
Yeah.
That's what you eat. Or, you know, what did you do back then? I mean, the size even, I was in a charity, we were away there about a year ago, and we were in this charity shop, or an antique shop in Kilkenny, and they had a dinner service. I don't know if you remember them. They were the little small bowls with the brown stripes.
Yeah.
I think every house in Ireland had one. And I brought it into class. I bought it purely to bring it into class, and I measured a bowl of Rice Krispies in it.
Right.
And then I got a bowl that we use nowadays, and I measured the bowl of Rice Krispies, and the size
difference, yeah.
Unreal. And like everything, you know, our portions have got bigger, our plates have got bigger,
And
our
it's
houses have got bigger, and we've got bigger.
Yeah, but and like that, like what you've just said there, it's like if you're lifting a 5 kg dumbbell doing curls, bicep curls, right? Next week you're going to be able to lift an 8 kg dumbbell. So your stomach is going to react to what you're putting into it, and it's going to grow, and it's going to, it's a muscle as well. It's going to improve.
Exactly. But no, I mean, I think too, it's just to, as you say, be kinder to ourselves. But as I often say to my members, take your foot off your own throat.
Yeah.
You know, just go easy on yourself.
Yeah.
And look after yourself. And, you know, there's a thing too, we were laughing one day in class about the Oscars were out. And I was saying, you know, everyone gets up and they make this huge speech about who they want to thank. And then you've got that song, I Want to Thank Me. And I just think that is so amazing, because sometimes if we actually think what we've been through and what we've done for ourselves and what we've managed to survive, and to actually thank yourself for getting you to where you are today. Because, you know...
Snoop Dogg wrote that, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think so, yeah.
I'm not sure who wrote it. I can't think of your one. That Meghan Trainor sings it.
Does she?
Yeah, and it's a great song. And to just sometimes stop and give thanks to yourself and say, well, listen, thanks for today. You did great. Didn't think you do as well as you did, but you did great. And, you know, we can do so much more if we put our minds to it and stop being so hard on ourselves.
Or on the days when we don't do as good as we would have hoped, to thank ourselves for getting through it. Like, and like, the habit building is... Not every day is going to be deadly. Not every day is going to be brilliant. And like, I'm bipolar, so every day has its different challenges, and I'm really good. I'm really healthy and happy with it. So it's managed very well with the help of my wife. But like that, not every day you wake up, you're looking out through rose-tinted glasses. Like,
Absolutely. But as you know, if you're not going to, it doesn't always have to be a good day. So there's nothing wrong with just having a day.
a day, yeah.
You know, and sometimes the toxic happiness can get in on us too.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, you have to see the good in everything. You don't. You can just sometimes have the day.
Yeah. Sorry,
happy
I'm
with that.
hawking and spotting
It's
at
all
a
right.
hay call, sorry. No, but you're right, yeah, there is like, but it's learning to roll with the punches a little
Yeah.
bit as well, and to just remember that I suppose with anyone involved in your classes and stuff, that with weight, especially with women, I've seen it from boxing and from seeing young girls when their menstrual cycle is up, and weight can yo-yo, like, so it's just to be impatient.
And I mean, then, you know, say you've got women who are, you know, perimenopausal, they're going through all that. And I mean, you know, that has to be, you know, I always say to my members, God definitely is a man. Because, you know, a woman would not do that to the sisters. Definitely not. But I mean, that's a whole falling off a cliff experience in its own right. And my advice to any of my members that might be going through that is do you.
Yeah.
And if HRT works for you, you do you. If you want to go down the herbal route, you do you. And if you want to do nothing at all, that's also your option.
Yeah.
But explore your options. Don't do it alone. There is help out there. You know, and my own grandmother, Lord Rester, was carted off to the county home at the time in Castlebar. She was going through the menopause, and at the time they didn't realise that one of the symptoms was actually thinking that there was insects crawling all over you, and that is a known symptom of menopause.
Right.
So is burning tongue. And they're only things that are coming out now.
People are only discovering these things now.
Absolutely. And now companies are actually have menopause champions. Right. Where women that, you know, there is nothing worse than going into work and you have 1,000 emails to do and you can't remember your password.
Right.
And that is an absolute known thing. You've just got porridge brain.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very, very, I think it's fantastic now that men are actually listening, you know, and accepting this. And you know, Menopause Day was there not so long ago. And men are championing teams in work where women are allowed, you know, if this is happening to you, come talk to someone. Yeah. And it's brilliant.
No, it is. It's amazing.
You know, because I mean, if you think of just the infrastructure of a body that can grow people, you know, I mean, there's a lot of little computer parts in there. And if, you know, when menopause hits, it can hit some women, as they say, like falling off a cliff. Right. And weight can fluctuate. You know, we're more sedentary than we were when our kids are young. And, you know, empty nest syndrome can be a huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when mine left home, it was devastating. And I really mean this. It really was. I kind of felt I completely lost my identity. And, you know, Mark would come home in the evening and I'd be there. I'd have no stories to regale about where I was and the kids. And,
or what they'd done all day. Or
all the things I needed him to tell them off about. And I kind of had to reinvent myself. And now do you know what's happening? They're coming back.
Yeah.
They're coming back.
With grandkids, probably.
Not yet, but we're getting there. But it's just, you know, be gentle on yourself. There's so many ways of rewarding yourself without food. Because when you binge, and binge is what I did, you know, I mean, I am, as I will always say, I am a binge eater in recovery.
Yeah.
You know, and the only difference between now and me 10 years ago is my periods of recovery last much, much longer. Right. And my binges would be considerably smaller.
Yeah.
You know, if I was going all out in something now compared to what I would have done. And another thing too, I think people don't realise, when people binge eat, it's not about the pleasure. You know, it's not about eating nice food. It's not about eating chocolate. It's about eating any food.
Right.
Because you're kind of trying to bandage a feeling or a wound. So it doesn't have to be your favourite chocolate bar.
Right.
You know, if there's only penguin bars in the fridge, they'll do.
Right.
You know, so it's about knowing that, and knowing that at the end of it, you've had the binge, you still have the problem you started off with, but now you've just had a binge. Yeah. So it doesn't really help.
Yeah, it doesn't help it. You know, the problem's not going away.
It took me a long time to get to where I am, and, you know, help is available, and my classes are fantastic. They're going great. Members are loving it. The results are amazing. Yeah. And it's not just the, you know, skin for summer.
I've only, like I said, I've only met you for the first time today.
Yeah.
But I think your honesty in it is unbelievable, and I
Thank
do think that resonates massively with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's real.
It is real.
In the world we're living in now, not everything is real. Most things are fake.
Absolutely.
As fuck, to be honest with you. So to have someone who's living proof of that this, hey, how are you? Living proof that this works, because we're looking at this person who's going through it and has went through it and has been where we are, is a massive thing. And like, but back to the kindness thing, back to that honesty thing, we have like the falseness around social media and all that, like the falseness around everything is this thing of the perfect life. Like, there's no such thing as a perfect life. And I've quoted this 1,000 times. But my biggest opportunity in boxing, I was on Sky Sports and going to fight to the biggest audience that I'd seen, but I was in the midst of a panic attack had went on for nearly two days, but was at its more, and yeah, I put a picture up before I got down to the arena saying can't wait. I was suicidal in the hotel room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And social media is fake, and I think it's really important for everybody. I've also, where I class it as fake is that when my own parents are 67, they're nearly, their friendships are online as opposed to going out and about and meeting people. Facebook has
absolutely,
you know, and I always say to my ma that, Mammy, that's shite, like, do you know
get
what I
out
mean?
and meet them. Yeah.
And but I don't know, so we have to change with the type. We go back or go?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I spoke about there a while ago in one of my classes, I was at a seminar with Robert Kelly, who's a cardiologist in the Beacon, and he's really, really good. You should look him up on Instagram. He's a really good guy, and he's one of the kind of big believers in lifestyle medicine.
Right.
Big believer, and this guy is more letters after his name than the alphabet. But he spoke about, Mediterranean lifestyle, and I observed this, particularly when we were away in Tenerife for Christmas. I really watched it. And anyone that goes to Tenerife, there is a big square in Los Cristianos for the churches. And every evening, Spanish people come, and they sit. The kids play, the women sit together, the older men sit together, some of the men play dominoes, they do all that sort of thing. And it's a community that they've formed.
Going to say, for a massive community.
Massive community. There isn't a tablet, there isn't a phone, there isn't a laptop to be seen.
Yeah.
Okay. And he talks about this, Robert Kelly, about communities and about people needing to have a group around them. Okay. Right. And, about having, we don't break bread at the table anymore. Yeah. Very, very rarely, the way we used to. And when we were kids, there was one television in the house, but we were never allowed to watch television. You're never allowed to bring your dinner in to watch television. We sat down at the table.
I'm smiling because it's a row I have daily in my house.
Yeah.
My little lad would love to eat his dinner, but I don't let him on the phone, and I don't let him. I just think we sit up at the counter for dinner time. Yeah. That's it, like,
Yeah.
But that's
it is the time though that people talk. Yeah. And that's what he said about these communities abroad and about Mediterranean. You'll often in native Spain, see much older men, maybe in their 70s, 80s, sitting at a table in the middle of the street playing dominoes. Right. And that group interaction, going to see their friends every day, it's hugely important.
Massive,
hugely important. And he firmly believes, as a cardiologist, that if you go to your GP and tell them, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling depressed, the first thing he should say is, tell me about your lifestyle. Tell me about your diet. Tell me about what you do. And if they don't say that and they write you a prescription, they're drug dealers. They're not GPs.
Yeah.
And they'll say things like, he said something too that really resonated with me. He said, don't go looking for a diagnosis of depression until you tell me your circle. And I thought it really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Tell me your friends, I suppose. But if you don't have the support network of a group of people, around you that you can. And the one thing about the groups that I run, it has become a community. You know,
I got that
like-minded people.
from what Bernie was saying, and she was so keen for me to get onto you because, well, I could show you the message. It's very flattering for you.
Well, I have to give her a brown envelope.
Probably. No, but you're right, and these are small things that I'm very lucky. Brian O'Doherty is my GP and has been since I was a baby. And like I always said that I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Because of other circumstances back years ago. But like that, last year when I had to retire from boxing was 2 years ago now. Was a kick in the Lee Ridey that I wasn't expecting, right? And I brought like that. I went into him. I was still arguing over the brain scans anyhow, but I went into him and he just said to me, "Listen, Niall," he said, you need to transfer that focus now." He says, "You need to be putting it into something else healthy," like he said that. But you're right, medication is not for everyone.
And there's not a thing wrong with it, and it works extremely well for an awful lot of people.
No, and I'm on medication, but it's not for everyone. And like this, it's similarly with counsellors, I think. Some people go to counselling and the person that you go into, you might not naturally click with that person. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, that can happen with medication as well. That
absolutely.
That might not work for you. So I always say to people that it's like buying a pair of runners online. They look deadly. You think they're going to be amazing, and they arrive and they're rotten.
And you can't walk in them. But yet your colleague could be loving it. It's like, and again, we talk in class about runners, and some people love Brooks, I love Asics, other people love the Hoka. You know, it all depends on what works for you. But I think it's finding, you know, and I would have a lot of members who maybe live alone. And before Christmas, I did a particular talk, and it was about Christmas coming, because Christmas can be, you know, it's not all lights and tinsel. It can be a very difficult time for a lot of people. And the one thing I said to them was, you know, be real with your expectations about Christmas. You know, we're all looking at these films and everyone's around the beautiful table and woolly jumpers and paper hats and life is good. You know, and what I just said to some of them, if you are inviting guests to your family, you know, maybe guests to your home that day, maybe family members or whatever, I said, let's just take, for example, you know, your sister-in-law's sister or your sister-in-law's brother. I said, maybe they're a bit of an asshole. And I said, putting a tinsel hat on him and a Christmas jumper isn't going to make him any different. And then you throw a load of Budweiser in on top of it. And you're wondering why Christmas turns out to be a disaster. And I said, like, you don't have to do things. And I said, I want you to bring home 3 words. It's 4. I don't have to. You know, I don't have to. And I don't have to go to my sister-in-law's because I just don't have to. I don't have to go and do this because I don't have to. And I had a woman come in to me after Christmas, and I said to her, how'd your Christmas go? And she said, you know something, Darina? She said, I had the best Christmas ever. She said, I spent it on my own. And she said, every year, she said, my daughter and my son-in-law invite me. And she said, I know they don't want me. And she said, I go because I have to. And this year I said, I don't have to. And she said, I stayed at home. She said, I can't remember what she told me she ate. And she said, I watched back-to-back films and I had the best day relaxing day, because I didn't have to do it. And I said, please don't quote me that I was the one that told you didn't have to. But like, sometimes if we just say, you know, I don't need that.
And learn to say no.
Learn to say no. Or learn to say even, I'll get back to you. You know, can I come back to you on that, instead of being a people pleaser all the time? Because I think sometimes
we fall into that.
We do fall into because we want to be popular. You know, and I think sometimes if you're a little bit more unavailable, you're actually increasing your worth.
Oh, 1,000,000%. 1,000,000,000%.
If you're always there.
So it's setting up, MBK is only going a little over a year, but so last year I done a load of sponsored stuff and free stuff, right? And I tell you, I couldn't keep the calendar going with working with everything, right? And I was in with Brian over, I don't know, something simple or something recently, and he just said, listen, it's time now to pull back and realise that know your worth, you know, that way.
Absolutely.
So it's true, and we need to be able to say, and you're dead right, people do want you more when they feel that you're not available.
Absolutely. If you put a kind of a value on yourself and a worth on yourself, you know, you do become, because you can be taken for granted and you can allow yourself to be taken. And you see, that's what I was saying at the very, very beginning about when I'd come home from work and I was after doing all the runs and I was after doing all this.
Hello.
And hello. You can actually start to feel a little bit resentful. You know, and you're kind of thinking, I'm doing everything for everybody here, but you're doing it because you've agreed to do it, you know, and we need to kind of change that.
Yeah.
And just sometimes say, look, I don't have the bandwidth this week to do that for you.
Yeah.
You know, come back to me in a week or two and I'll do my best for you. And not be afraid, because, you know, they might be happy about it there and then, but like, they love you, they're going to be okay about it.
Yeah.
You know?
And, but I do think it is hard. But I do think by doing that, you're increasing your worth to people.
Absolutely.
Do you know, and they're saying this is something. So with boxing in particular, when I got addicted to motivational videos, and the black fellas in America are amazing at them. They're really motivating, right? But Eric Thomas is one of them. He's brilliant, and he talks about battery chargers. Right, so some people in life, you're going to have battery chargers, and some people are going to be battery drainers, and that's just something in your life. And he said, but every time you go into your house, and it's about knowing your worth, every time you go into the house and you flick the switch on, your electric company is charging you.
Yeah.
He said, so if you're going to a house, regardless, he said, it could be your brother, your father, your mother, your sister, whatever it is, your wife. But if you're going into the house and they're draining your battery, start charging them.
It's true, isn't it?
And it's like, I know that's a harsh thing to say. Like, we all have people in our lives where, like that client of yours that stayed at home on their own.
Yeah.
She was clearly drained every Christmas coming back from that. But learning to say no,
I don't have to.
Yeah. You know, and she recharged her own battery then that
she said she had the best Christmas ever, because, you know, you can be in a room full of people and be incredibly lonely.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or you can sit in your own room and be so happy in your own company.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get the two confused, thinking I have to be surrounded by people, I have to have noise, I have to have buzz. You don't.
No.
You know, and it's kind of the power of peace.
Sorry. No, the power of peace is massive. Yeah.
It is, and you know, we talked about this. I know I keep saying we talked about it, but we genuinely did. Christmas week, when we were kind of wrapping up for Christmas, and I was just telling them that I got a Christmas card from a friend of mine, and you know, a real friend who you might only hook up twice a year, but it's like you never missed off, and you just literally connect right back. And she sent me a card. It was a blank, the inside was blank, a beautiful picture on the outside, and inside she just said to me, I wish you peace this Christmas. And that, you know, I think maturity too, because if she'd sent me that 20 years ago, I'd gone, what does she mean about that? What does she mean? Of course it's peace. We're not
she think my house is carnage.
We're going to be killing each other. Word has got out, obviously. And, you know, it actually, peace in your own head. If you could put a price on that.
No,
and
it's
peace,
massive.
you know, to be able to get into bed at night and just close your eyes and have peace is probably more valuable than the lotto winnings.
Oh, 1 billion percent. Now, money means absolutely zero to me, but I do think that thing of like having peace is a beautiful thing to say in a card, actually. But down to like people now, if you fell over here, right? People now would nearly walk past you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But my thing is that, again, back to friendships and all this, not everybody is going to be your cup of tea, but that doesn't mean that you stamp on someone. You know, we should always, for our own sakes, and there's nobody that ever helps somebody that feels bad after.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a massive benefit to you as well.
100%.
And I just think if we can help people up, it's an amazing thing. So, like, down to doing whatever this is, the first 3 or 4 episodes are up, and I had 3 people contact me, and two of those are engaging in counselling services through Talk to Tom now, and one of them ended up having and going forward and getting there was something else triggered. But my whole thing there is, if this is pointless, most people are probably looking at it saying, what the fuck is Basil at the clown, right? And I genuinely could not care less, because like that, what they think of me is none of my business anyway.
Exactly.
But if those three people is all it has helped, isn't it three people it has
It's 4
helped?
people
Do
more
you know
than if
what
you
I
hadn't
mean?
done it.
And that's the thing,
Yeah.
and down to every episode, and that's why I put it up on Instagram to see if people would suggest people, and that's why I was delighted, Bernie, because I don't know your journey, I don't know your story.
Yeah.
And I don't know the circle that you would know. So there could be someone struggling in your circle
Absolutely.
that's going to look at this and this will
And say,
resonate.
yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's where
100%.
I'm on about. And I'm very grateful, because the way you spoke about such honesty, is it's that openness that people are going to connect to.
Yeah.
know?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. You know, there's no point saying, you know, I mean, I am a binge eater, you know, and there's no point fancying it up any other way. You know, and an awful lot of people have said to me recently, oh, you're doing great. God, I don't remember you ever being that weight. And I say, well, you don't, because I wouldn't have been out. You wouldn't have seen me out.
Yeah.
You know, I sat in the car at the school gates, and I sat at the car at the school gates for many years. And there was one woman in particular, and I used to see her nearly every morning, and she'd be out walking with the little leggings and everything else on her. And
how are you? How's the body?
And I used to see her walking past, and I'd be sitting in the car waiting on the kids, and I'd have stopped off at the local garage, and I'd have bought the bag of sausage rolls and the bag of jambons, and you know, they might be €1 each, or they might be 4 for €2. Now my mother's from Cavan, so there's a bit of Cavan in me. If there's 4 for €2, I'll take the 4 for €2. But I'd be looking at this woman going, Jesus, oh, well for her. God, she looks great. Every day I'd see her walking past the school in her little outfit, and I go, God, she must have got great genes. And here am I now, I got the fat genes. Never connecting. This woman's out walking. I'm the woman sitting in the car eating sausage rolls, and that's why she's looking so good, and why I'm struggling. But, you know, it's amazing when you're looking at people and you think they have it all, but they're actually out there working for it.
Yeah.
You know, and then I kind of started it. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't just decide one day I was going to lose weight and it all happened overnight. There was several false starts, several. But I'm at a place now where I'm very happy. I'm very healthy. All my numbers are right, and it's not the number on the scales. My blood pressure's right. My cholesterol's right. My BMI is right. They're the numbers that you want to be looking at. You know, my resting heart rate's right. I'm happy with life. I'm fit for my age. I'm good for my age. Everything's good. And I'm going to make the rest of my life the best of my life.
Yeah. You're at peace with everything that has happened.
And, you know, as I say, in a perverse way, and I never thought I'd say it, but I look back on my experience with cancer. I don't want to say journey, but my experience with cancer. And I'm glad it happened. And I never thought I'd say that.
You're grateful for the lessons it probably taught you.
Absolutely. And it's certainly... It weeded out the kind of the wheat from the shaft in terms of friends and family, and it brought my family very, very close together.
Right.
You know, and we weathered it, and it made us all bigger and better people. You know, and things happen for a reason, as I always say.
Yeah, I do believe that.
I went through the why me's, and that only lasted a while, and then I says, well, hell, you know, I wouldn't like my daughter, and I certainly wouldn't like my husband to go through it, because he had a little touch of a tummy bug over Christmas. And mother of Jesus, you think no man had ever been sick before.
We have been going so well. There was no discrimination towards men up to this point. Now, Mark,
no, I had to.
I can understand that you were probably sick. I'm smothering with. There's people have died of the man flu as well. So, but no, look, I'm very grateful for what we've spoke about. But what I always try and do, right? So, actually, I'm going to say one thing now as well, which is we talked a little bit outside about it as well. But substance abuse has become an escape and everything like that. So everything down to alcoholism, binge eating. It's all a form of escapism, right? So we're not dealing with the actual problem that's there.
Yeah.
And what you're doing and what I do are very similar in the sense that we're trying to. So I have an analogy where I say that if you can imagine we're all a pint glass and you put us underneath a leaky tap, and every drop that goes in is a bit of trauma, something else that happens. And like what we were talking about, that trauma could be not getting picked for a team, a breakup of a relationship, whatever it is, right? But it's not a drop. At some point, that glass is going to overflow.
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to safely empty that glass.
Yeah.
So exercise for both of us, obviously,
100%.
is our way of emptying the glass. But unfortunately, substance abuse has become a massive form of escapism. And in young women now, cocaine abuse has become huge because everything is back to appearance and how we look. But a young girl that's really drunk isn't attractive to look at.
Yeah.
But a young girl that's off her rocker and you're not aware of it because they don't seem any different.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the main reasons behind these, is to try and say to people that we can empty our glass in a safe way.
Yes.
You know, like neither of us feel worse after that little walk. Do you know what I mean? And fresh air, being out in the trees, being out grounding yourself, you know, that sort of a way. But so I like to finish up with, if you had, looking back, right, so if you had advice for 21-year-old Darina, what would you say to her?
That's a be kind. Be kind to yourself. Yeah. Stop rushing. You know, stop wanting to be 31-year-old Darina. Be 21-year-old Darina. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Make mistakes, but nothing is undoable. You know, and don't be so hard on yourself. Take advice. You know, because I think too, maybe as a 21-year-old or as an 18-year-old, I was kind of wanted to get everywhere. I wanted to do everything. I wanted to conquer the world. You need to just take a deep breath and be kind to yourself. Take a step back and be grateful, you know, and hindsight's wonderful, and, you know, maturity's wonderful. And if I could tell her the things I know now, but I suppose just look after yourself, because, you know, your health is a gift.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
You know, and we don't realise it until somebody threatens to take it from you.
Yeah.
And you know,
you had massive frights and scares there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you know, it didn't end there. There was, like, you know, a year later, maybe a shadow here, and you know, it doesn't quite end on the day of the last treatment. And in fact, you know,
it's a shadow that probably stays with you all the time.
It's kind of, you know, now it gets less, but you know, for the first couple of years, every cough, every pain, every ache, there is that fear, is it back? You know, and there is that fear. But look, you deal with it. And I don't have any magic potions or lotions.
Yeah.
I've cried, I've kicked things, you know, I've wailed, I've done all that, but I've an amazing husband, I've an amazing family, and they've just
backtracking. She doubts you about the flu, or no, she's backtracking.
He's amazing.
Yeah, Mark, you're obviously...
It's payday today, it's Friday.
Payday, so, right. You're on for steak. You're getting steak tonight.
The golden goose won't arrive if I slag him off. So, no, I am. I'm absolutely blessed. I really am. And you know, it takes a lot to realise that.
Yeah, right. Know? So that's beautiful. So you're saying kindness, and don't worry if you haven't got it all sorted.
And you know something? As you rightly said a couple of times, it doesn't matter what other people think here.
No, but that's...
And I think the biggest weight I lost was the weight of other people's opinions.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't.
And,
you know?
And you could be the nicest person in the world to somebody, but we are just not everyone's cup of tea.
Absolutely.
And that is a fact. Like, so people are just going, we're just not everyone's going to like us. Yeah. And that's simple.
Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
So I think that's powerful advice for any young lady or young man going through the similar journey, because males binge eat too, males
100%.
panic. And the gym can be a daunting place for somebody to start. And what I always say to people is that, yes, I can understand why you're afraid going into it, but everybody in the gym, nobody gives a fuck what you're doing. They're there to
I get that,
themselves.
but when you're a size 20
Oh yeah, you're
and you're
panicked.
going in, and the girl, and they tell you to wear something loose. Well, if I had something loose, I wouldn't be here. But you
True.
go in, there's a lycra clad babe in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, it is hard. It is tough. And you know, I started walking at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, so nobody'd see me.
Right.
When I was at my heaviest.
Yeah.
You know, I remember Mark and myself used to go and had these little hats with the torches on it because it was pitch black. But it was the only time I'd go out because I was so breathless.
Right.
I couldn't get from here to the gate, like literally. And it is intimidating, but like it is so important to remember that nobody is looking at you.
No.
They're just trying to do their own workout.
And genuinely, if they are, why would you care less about them? Otherwise, that's the
I started there about a year and a half ago. I started pool biking in the Ashtown. And it's for anyone that doesn't know what pool biking is. It's like spinning in water.
I've done it a couple of times.
Isn't it brilliant?
Well, I don't know, but I've done it for the charity events. I've done it for Joe and Katrina a couple of times.
It is absolutely brilliant. But again, when I started that, I was worried, you know, even though I hit my normal weight, but I was kind of my healthy weight. I was kind of a bit self-conscious in a swimsuit from years of being, you know, self-conscious. And I remember going to the swimming pool and there was every shape, make, colour, creed, and nobody cared. Everyone was just concentrating on not falling off the bike. It is the best of fun. And you know, it's a lovely social thing now. We have a great group of friends in it. We have girls' nights out. It's brilliant. You know, and again, going back to the community thing. It's an hour and a half where I'm not on the phone, I'm not on the computer, I'm not on the tablet. It's just fun.
No.
You know.
And so that's a beautiful thing, and it's sort of. But not only that, you're expanding a circle, so they might not necessarily end up being close friends, but now you have people that you bump into and you have that nice interaction
100%.
From a fun event that you've done that's also keeping you healthy, which is a benefit. So now, right, so that was lovely advice for anyone struggling, man or woman, in their team. Now, anyone struggling at your age now, right, so that is coming. Well, I wouldn't say you're near retirement age, but
thank you very much. I'm very glad you got that in time.
I wouldn't imagine so, right? But I'd say with your members, you have a varying age group in it.
Yeah.
So I know that can be a daunting time because I done a drugs awareness course with Kieran Carey. Do you remember the Limerick hurler?
Yes, I've heard the name.
He's an amazing, phenomenal, and George is the lad that talks with him as well. And George Henderson, I think his name is. Lovely man from Waterford, but he's actually due to be a guest. And they talk about gaps, like, you know, I found retiring from boxing for me was extremely hard because where's that time go, right? And he found retiring from inter-county hurling was a massive drop for him, and people find retiring from work a massive drop. And he had found that, I asked the question, what was the oldest person he'd ever had contact him? Re-addiction. And he said he had a 67-year-old man contact him that had just retired from work. Was at a sort of a loose age, had went to a pub, fond of a few pints and had a few bets, and got a massive bet up and had went into the pub. Met a lad he knew from school who was a little bit younger than him, and bought him a pint because he'd got a big bet up, and they were having the chats and having a bit of crack. And next thing, your man said to him, "Here, you're having a great day, do you want a line of that?" So he was just sure not working, like, just go on, sure, I'll chance it, right? So he chanced it, and he'd found, he rang Kieran Carey 6 months after it, and he'd found that he was buying a bag of stuff every day for that 6 months. So he was feeling the void left from work with this, and had sent. So my whole thing is about people trying to empty the pint glass safely. Do you know what I mean? So this, like, exercise is addictive. Do you know what I mean? And it's, but and back to like the weighing scales, exercise, it doesn't have to be, and I'm super competitive, but it doesn't have to be to achieve or to win, or it's just to feel better. Do you know
absolutely. And as I said earlier, You know, and I read this, it's so true. Water is the best energy drink you'll ever get.
Yeah.
And fresh air, and even rain, even the elements. But just, I mean, the peace of being here.
Yeah, no, this is
You know,
lovely.
and-
I've actually never been in here.
Have you not?
No.
Oh, it's an amazing woods, and so many trails off it.
Yeah, I'd say so. Kyle Nairn used to try and bring us running here, but
Yeah.
that's
But
obviously...
even up the road, we've got the windmills.
Yeah.
And there's great walks up there. I mean, we're blessed. But even for people living in town, Gorey Park, and I've done a lot
Yeah.
of kind of videos and stuff in there. That's such an amazing amenity.
Yeah, I only came
know?
from a walk the dog this morning. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. And then you can stop and have your coffee, and
Yeah.
it is absolute. Oh,
Oh yeah, how are
it
you?
is.
How are you
Hello
keeping?
there. It is. It's such an amenity. And then in Arklow, just a stone throw away, you've got the duck pond there. You've got the
Yeah.
outdoor gym. I mean, if people look, there is so much around them.
Yeah.
You know, but I know at one stage during COVID, I mean, you know, I was having infusions, and I had to kind of semi-isolate
Yeah.
for 9 weeks to like just the immediate kind of, what was the word we called it? Just your family were kind of capsuling. And I remember just walking around the perimeter of my house just to get out and move,
Just to
because
go.
it felt so good to get out,
Yeah.
you know. And I think the biggest thing would, if somebody said to me, you know, we're taking chocolate off the market or we're closing the woods and the beach, I definitely think the woods and the beach would be the biggest sacrifice to
Yeah.
me. You know, so
Yeah,
it's just
definitely.
about getting out, and you don't have to be a power walker. Just get out and move at the pace
Yeah.
we're going. I mean, motion is lotion.
Yeah.
You know, I firmly believe it. And as I say in my class, rest is rust. You know, and if you keep going, you know, I have solved so many of my own internal issues
Yeah.
just by going out for a walk. And, you know, for somebody at home, you're talking about retirement, but as I mentioned earlier, when my kids left home, I mean, I kind of was retiring from
Yeah.
being an active mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like when my youngest daughter started driving, it kind of happened very, very quickly. She went from, you know, all of a sudden I was with her in the car all the time, and the next thing she was off on her own.
Gone.
And just with no notice, she drove herself to school for the last year. And I remember the first time she went off, I kind of stood at the door going, bye,
Yeah.
and closed the door going, well, there's my job gone, that I've been on
Yeah.
the school run for kind of, because my eldest lad's 31.
So for
And-
that, yeah. So
Yeah.
it spread the whole way
Yeah.
through.
And all of a sudden, like, I didn't have to do it anymore. And that was a kind of a redundancy retirement in ways.
Yeah.
And as I say, I had to kind of reinvent myself. And it would have been very easy, as I said earlier, to lie on the couch watching Jerry Springer thinking, well, my life's a shit show.
Yeah.
You know, and that is an easy thing to do. You just have to get up and you have to say, well, what am I going to do?
So
And-
your advice then for somebody maybe embarking on that now at the moment, what?
Before it happens, do something.
Right.
You know, whether you join a yoga class, whether you join a walking group, whether you join a library, do something, do voluntary work, but don't become redundant in your own life.
Yeah.
You know, because you'll realise you give up so much of your life for your kids, your whole world was talking about them, what was going on with them, and all of a sudden you're left with nothing to talk about. And that's why so many relationships go down the Swanee when the kids are gone, because suddenly they find they've no common ground.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and it's so doable though.
Yeah.
It is so doable. I mean, as I said, we're traveling, we're doing every opportunity. We bought a camper van last year and we're doing everything we can to get away and, you know, kind
Yeah.
of do all that. Don't start now slagging. I can feel a slag.
No,
coming up here from Martin.
I'm not. No, I'm going to pull back on the slagging. No, and there's
But
like
yeah.
even down to the JA, and I know not everybody is for it now, but they have. Well, I think they're the 5 pillars of well-being, anyway. But
100%.
the 5 pillars of well-being, one of them is to take notice, right? Which is
Yeah.
really important. Like I said, that doesn't have to be a friend, a family member. That can be somebody sitting down there and they don't look good. Like, just have the
But
manners.
you know, they often say the onlookers see more than the players.
Yeah.
You can spot
1
something in
billion
the
percent.
colleague.
Yeah. So
quicker
one
than
is
their own mother
to
would.
take notice. One is to give, which
Yeah.
is a powerful thing. That can be your time. That doesn't mean, like what you said, that's
Yeah.
not the big present or the sweet jar at home.
Yeah.
Keep learning, which is proven scientifically to keep the brain
100%.
good. Keep active
100%.
is good for you. And so as a take notice, give, keep learning, keep active. And I always forget one of them. But there's another one. But they're the 5 pillars of well-being.
Okay.
And I think we all, like my mum and dad are just retiring now, and I'm a niner now at this stage, I think, but I'm trying to get mammy to do a night course or something like that.
100%.
You know,
Keep
just
the brain active.
yeah, just
You know, and I mean, down to even dancing.
yeah,
I mean, they say the reduction in the presentation of Alzheimer's and dementia from people who dance. You know, that it
Yeah.
is just incredible. And again, going back to talking about people in Spain, you will often see couples in their 70s, 80s in the square at night time just dancing.
yeah,
You know, and it's fabulous. It's just amazing. But it doesn't have to be expensive. If we could realise that it's all around us,
yeah.
you know, and it is. And I mean, Sudoku, reading, word puzzles. I remember during COVID buying these big, huge word puzzle books, and the weather was amazing. Do you remember the first 9 weeks of COVID?
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible.
See, I was lucky. We were still working.
Right.
So.
Okay. Well, Mark closed the garage for the first 9 weeks, and the second lockdown they were allowed open because they were, you know, I suppose necessary repairs and all that sort of stuff. But I wasn't, and my daughter was at home from school, and I remember doing these word puzzles and crosswords and just different things to keep the brain going, you know. And it's just proven. But yeah, so I would just say to anybody, just be as active as you can. Every day, do a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, there's always that extra 5% in the tank.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
You know, and if you think, just push that little bit harder with yourself, with your goals, but keep it real. You know, you're not going to lose 8 stone, learn a new language, run a marathon, conquer world poverty in 1 year. You know, be real
back to
about
what
things.
you said earlier about taking photographs and stuff like that.
100%.
I found with boxing in particular, diarying.
Absolute journaling is amazing.
I thought it was really powerful not for my wins, believe it or not. It was better for my losses.
Yeah.
Because I was able to look back and say, well, do you know what? I ticked that box, I ticked that box, I ticked that box.
Yeah.
Do you know, so that was good. So just to wrap up then, and thanks a million, genuinely, thank you so much. And I do think there's loads in it, it's amazing. But if you had one nugget of gold to give to someone here now that's maybe struggling and maybe needs to hear something positive to get them out of a slump, what would you hand them?
You don't know how strong you are till your back is against it. And there is so much in you that is yet to be uncovered. Yeah. So much in everybody. Write it down, make it happen.
Write it down,
Write it down and make it happen. And you know, we talk about visualization and we say, oh, you know, it's namby-pamby. Yeah. But like you visualize everything. You visualize yourself on the beach on your next holiday. Yeah. You visualize yourself at the next wedding you're going to. Visualize a happier you. And be real about it. You know, Perfect. It will happen. If you want it badly enough, it'll happen.
Visualize a happier you.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful one. Yeah. And that could be the title for this as well.
You never know.
Darina Johnston, thanks a million. It's been lovely to meet you.
Thanks a million.
I'm going to real hugger, I think. I don't know what's happening. Thanks a million, folks.